Have you ever been on a cruise ship and were trying to figure out on your last day how the heck you can stow away so you don't have to get off the ship? Well, this video is going to give you the solution to that dilemma, and it's called back-to-back cruising, and we're going to tell you all about the different tricks and tips you're going to need to know when you plan a back-to-back cruise. Stay tuned. Hi everyone, Rob from Cruise Seekers, and welcome to our channel, and thank you for joining us. Today we're going to talk about back-to-back cruising. Yes, all the things you're going to need to know when you are planning a back-to-back cruise. There are some really great positive reasons why you would want to do a back-to-back cruise. We'll go through all of those, and there are some drawbacks too with going on a back-to-back cruise too. We're going to tell about those too. We're also going to give you a lot of information that you need to know when you're planning a back-to-back cruise so you don't miss anything. Now, before I get into all this information, I would just like to ask you to do a couple of things here. First, if you have ever been on a back-to-back cruise, or if you're planning a back-to-back cruise, leave a comment down below. Let us know about all the things that you had to do. Let us know about all the things you loved or did not like about your back-to-back cruise. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help the YouTube algorithm. It also helps all the other folks out there in YouTube land who are planning a back-to-back cruise to get this information. And if you're not a member of the Cruise Seekers crew already, please think about subscribing. Turn the notification bell on, because when you do, you get information about all this type of great things about cruising. Tips, tricks, reviews, cruise deals. You name something about cruising, we usually have a video about that thing about cruising. So please remember, think about subscribing, turn that notification bell on. It is so appreciated by us. Thank you so much. So let's now get into that information. Let's talk about back-to-back cruising. So what I'm going to first do here in this video is I'm going to give you some general information that you're going to need to know about back-to-back cruising. And the first thing we're going to talk about is, how does turnaround day actually occur when you're doing a back-to-back cruise? Turnaround day is when, you normally get off the ship, but you're not getting off. You're going to stay on. You're going to go for another cruise, which is awesome. But there are certain little procedures that you're going to have to follow, and these procedures change by cruise line. It even changes by ship within cruise lines. So make sure you understand this information when you're doing a back-to-back cruise. When you first get on the ship, you're going to get a whole bunch of paperwork. And one of those pieces of paperwork is going to talk about your procedures when you are going to do your back-to-back. It's going to give you all the information you're going to need to know. Now, if it doesn't come on the first day, it will come sometime thereafter. Don't worry. The cruise line will let you know exactly what you need to do. Some cruise lines make you get off the ship. Some cruise line puts you in a designated area that you'll be with other passengers who are doing back-to-back, and then they will distribute cards there. Every cruise line, every ship is different. Just follow the rules on that paper. You will be fine. No problems. If you do not see that paper sometime like days 4 or 5, you're getting close to when it's time for disembarkation day, definitely talk to your cabin steward. Definitely go to guest services and figure out, hey, what am I doing about my back-to-back here? I haven't received any paperwork. Let them know that you haven't received any information, and they'll make sure you get the right information. Another good piece of information you're going to want to know about your back-to-back cruises is sometimes you get onboard credit when you book a cruise. Both legs. You might get $250 onboard credit on leg 1, and you might get $250 onboard credit for leg 2. Now just remember, your non-refundable onboard credit from leg 1 will not roll over to leg 2 when you are going to leg 2 of your trip. It's just not going to happen. So always use all your onboard credit from leg 1 if it's non-refundable, because it's not rolling over, folks. The other little thing I want you all folks to know about back-to-back cruising is related to tipping. Now, normally when you tip in a cruise, you just do it at the end of your cruise, right? Not with back-to-backs. You're going to want to tip your cabin steward and your waitstaff in the main dining room if you're going to give them anything extra in between your back-to-back. So at the end of your first leg, tip your cabin steward, tip your wait staff in the main dining room if you want to give them anything extra. The main reason why you want to do this is because you just can't guarantee if you're going to have the same cabin steward, and you can't guarantee you're going to see the same wait staff. Now, the reason for this is because you have no control of the schedules. You don't know if your cabin steward is going home or your wait staff person is going home. They might be going home, or they might be now responsible for another section on the ship or in the main dining room. So definitely tip your main dining room staff that you want to tip extra, or your cabin steward in between your back-to-back at the end of your first leg, and then tip your cabin steward again if it's the same person at the end of your second leg if you want to give them any extra tip. Just so you know, that's how it's going to work for you. So now with all that general information out of the way, let's talk about one of the real positive reasons why you would want to do a back-to-back cruise. It can save you some money. Now, think of it this way. If you're planning on doing 2 cruises in a given year, if you do it back-to-back, you can save a decent amount of money in airfare and hotel fees if you plan a back-to-back rather than 2 separate vacations. Because, airfare has gone crazy through the roof recently. Same thing with hotel prices. So if you can avoid that extra round-trip flight, you'll save a decent amount of money. You'll also maybe save some decent amount of money by not doing 2 pre-night cruises at a hotel or 2 post-night cruises at a hotel. It's just a way to save some good money. Now, there are also some ways you can save money when you book a back-to-back cruise. Did you know that Celebrity Cruise Lines does offer an incentive for doing back-to-back cruises? It's not a lot of money, but hey, it's $50 off each booking if they're like normal 7 nights or longer cruises. As a matter of fact, if it's one of the longer back-to-backs, you can almost save $100 per booking. So savings of $200. So definitely check your cruise line to see if they have any incentives for back-to-back cruising. So there's another great reason why you might want to try a back-to-back cruise, and that is you can create some really interesting and varied itineraries. For example, you might want to think about going to Europe and the Caribbean. You can combine the two, maybe with a transatlantic, and get a really interesting combination. You can either go from Europe to the Caribbean, or you can go vice versa from the Caribbean to Europe. Those are really good examples. Another one is you might want to check out Hawaii and then, also Alaska. You can take a repositioning cruise from Hawaii back to Vancouver and then do an Alaska cruise, or vice versa at the end of the season. So again, you can do some really interesting and varied itineraries that you normally can never do without a back-to-back cruise. Another great reason why you are going to want to do a back-to-back cruise is that it just seems just less stressed, right? When you're doing a normal 7-night cruise and it's the first time you're on that ship, you're going to want to see everything about the ship. You're going to want to do all the things on the ship. You're going to want to see all the shows. You might need a vacation after your vacation. When you do a back-to-back cruise, you just don't have that packed feeling of everything is just so condensed and need to go do this, and need to go do this, and need to go do this. It becomes more relaxed. It becomes more stretched out. You can really enjoy the ship on those sea days. See some of those things at a more relaxed pace. Don't necessarily have to run to a show because it's the only time I can get to see this show. You don't have to worry about those type of things. You could just see it on the next cruise. So that's a great benefit of going on a back-to-back cruise. You go on vacation to kind of lower the stress. When you go on these cruise ships and they're so interesting and there's so many things to do, you sometimes just get a lot of what I call information overload, and your synapses are all firing, and it's great, right? I love that part of cruising, but it's also sometimes very tiring. And if you do a back-to-back, you kind of get away from that, which is really nice. And I would be remiss not to mention that one of the big reasons why people really, really love back-to-back cruising is that you don't have to, pack up to go to the next cruise. It's just a wonderful thing if you're in the same room when you're doing your back-to-back. You don't have to, pack up. You just leave all your stuff there and you just do what's needed to be done on the sheet that you get for how to handle turnaround day. And you just come back to your room later with your new room key once they give you the new room key for your second leg. So that's a really, really big benefit. The other big benefit, if you're not doing the same room thing, is you have the option to try out maybe 2 different types of cabins. I have plenty of clients that think about when they do a back-to-back cruise, they might want to do aqua class for one leg of the cruise and really enjoy blue, but they don't need to do aqua class the second time around, and they might do a sunset veranda to get some beautiful aft views. And when you do that, yeah, you're going to have to pack up, but you don't have to worry about, shuttling your luggage off and on the ship. You don't have to worry about that at all. You just leave everything all packed up where you are in your first leg, and they will make sure that that luggage shows up in your new cabin for your second leg. So that's another benefit if you're not staying in the same room. If you're not staying in the same room, think about trying different cabin categories so you can experience the different types of levels of service that a cruise line might be able to offer you. All right, now that we went through some of the positives and some information about back-to-back cruising, let's talk a little bit about some of the negatives. One of them being it's harder to pack for a back-to-back cruise. Now, this is especially true if you decide to do one of those interesting itineraries and you combine a repositioning with a localized tour once you get to the positioned place. Like, for example, say you decided to jump on a Hawaii to Vancouver cruise because a ship was repositioning from the Far East and they stopped in Hawaii, and now you're doing the second leg of the reposition of the Trans-Pacific, and then you do an Alaska cruise from there. Well, that's going to be tough to kind of pack for, right? Because you got two completely different types of climates. You're going to have to pack a lot. So yeah, packing can be difficult. Also, some cruise lines just don't have good options for you to kind of wash your own clothes. There's a few that do, but many do not. So again, lots of clothes to pack when you're doing a back-to-back cruise. Now, another negative about back-to-back cruising is if you're an avid fan of bidding for an upgrade or hoping to get an upgrade for a cruise, well, with a back-to-back cruise, if you made yourself in the same cabin for your two legs, you might not want to do this bidding or get an upgrade because then it will split you up, right? You never know what room they're going to put you in if you win an upgrade. And you might win one upgrade for one leg and you might not win for the other, or you might win on both and you just don't know where they're going to put you. You have no control over your room. So if you do a back-to-back cruise and you're in the same room, those bids for upgrades or upgrades in general are just going to not work for you. And the final, I guess you would call it nitpicky negative about back-to-back cruising is one of the things that you will realize when you're doing a back-to-back cruise, it might feel a little bit like Groundhog's Day. Same thing again and again. Deja vu. This is deja vu, right? Same shows, same comedians, same headliners. You wonder, oh, I've been here, done that. Oh, I'm going to the trivia contest. Oh, same questions. So yeah, if this is something that might annoy you, this might be a reason why you might not like a back-to-back cruise. So there you go, folks. That's my video about back-to-back cruising. You got a lot of information now. You know all the little ins and outs. You know some of the positives. You know some of the negatives. So you can make an informed decision about your next back-to-back cruise. If you have any questions about back-to-back cruising, please leave them down below. If you've been on a back-to-back cruise, let us know how you enjoyed it. Let us know all your tips and tricks. It's a great thing to kind of help out this community. If you like this video, hey, give it a big thumbs up. It really, really does help the YouTube algorithm. It will help other people who are planning a back-to-back cruise find this video to use it as a resource. Thank you so much for doing that. And one more time, if you're not a member of this Cruise Seekers crew community, think about subscribing. Turn that notification bell on, because if you do, you get tons of information like this, like tips, like tricks, like reviews, like cruise deals, all the things about cruising that you might need to know or want to know. So think about subscribing, turn that notification bell on. It is so appreciated by us. Thank you so much for doing that. So until we talk again next time, this is Rob from Cruise Seekers reminding each and every one of you to always seek the seas. Bye now.